Good morning. So I have this Dirtworks back bumper that I bought quite a few years ago. It's got a swing out tire carrier, as you can see. It comes with a trailer hitch. It's custom made from some guy, I think, in his garage in California. And as you can see on this swing out tire carrier, he welded like a trailer hitch on here, and I bought the little adapter for it goes into the hitch. It has an angle, and I bolted the high lift jack to it. But I've had that on there for years, and not once have I actually used the high lift. Not that I want to get rid of it, but I want to move it, and let me show you what I want to do instead. So I got this basket from Harbor Freight. It's an aluminum basket, and it has like a steel holder. It goes into a hitch. Normally it would just sit down there, but if I did put it down there, then I couldn't swing the tire out if I had anything on it. Also, it hurts my departure angle. So what I want to do, I got some tube, and I'm gonna cut the tube right here, and then I'm gonna make it longer so it goes down this tube, and then I'm gonna do a 45 degree or 90 degree cut and weld it, and then I'm gonna have it sit on the spare tire like that, and then sit inside that hitch right there. I can bring some spare gas with me. It's up high. I don't have to worry about my departure angle. There's lots of places up here to tie down to, as well as I can add some more tie downs. I think it's going to be a really good idea. I mean, what the heck, if it's a bad idea, then you know, what are we out? Some time and some weld. So let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. So you guys seeing my idea here? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Tube's gonna go into the hitch, and then we're going to weld it to this arm, and the basket will sit over the spare tire. So I had to go back to the steel store because I thought this was the size of a regular hitch, but it's not. It's like a size down, so I had to get some more steel. But I found this scrap piece that fits in there perfectly. So it's too long, I need to cut it down. But I got it for a scrap, so that's pretty good. So let's get to taking measurements and cut this thing down. Alright, does this look any better? How about that? We're gonna actually move the basket out that way, and this will weld right here. I just couldn't balance it that way, and then we'll just cut the excess off like we just did on the bandsaw. So this is the bar that came out of the basket. This is where the basket bolts. That's where it goes into the trailer hitch. Can you see that? Yeah, that's where it goes in the trailer hitch. So I needed to go into that spare tire holder. This is a piece that I cut off that I'm not using, but I'm just using it to see where I want to put it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off and then weld this to this. I'm going to try and get it as close as I can to here. Maybe not weld right there, just cut it. And then I want to try and put like a fish strap on there. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if I can find some scrap steel for that. But I'm going to weld this here, 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 cut that off there. And then this will go into the slot in the tailgate. I gotta tell you, this Harbor Freight circular saw, no, not circular saw, bandsaw with the jig. I mean, I was a little nervous about the Harbor Freight tools, but I've done a lot of cuts on this same blade, and I gotta tell you, I'm really happy with it. I like it. With that note, we're cut up. Let's clean things up. Now we're gonna use the grinder to chamfer the ends. The reason why we do that is so we can fill it up with weld, make it penetrate further inside the metal. Alright, now we're going to use a flap disc to get rid of some of this paint. Clean it up for welding. Well, you know what I just figured out? That's not paint, that's powder coating. So we're going to have to get something a little stiffer than a flap disc. A wire wheel. Let's see if this is any better. Well, the wire wheel worked much better, but since that powder coat seems to be a pretty good job, I'm only going to grind off where I'm going to weld so we can keep the powder coat everywhere else. Alright, let's tack this up. Alright, we got it all welded up together. I think it's going to be strong. Check it out. This is the part that goes through the basket. This is the part that goes through the basket. This is the part that goes into the bumper. I just put the basket one over the top of the bumper one, and then I added a little more strength and trim piece to the back of it. So it's gonna go like this. I hope you can see that. Basket's gonna go here, that's gonna go in the bumper. So let's get it prepped for paint. We're gonna start out with 150 grit sandpaper. Alright guys, we're going to finish up with 220. We're not going to paint the part that goes into the basket because it has some really good powder coat on there. And I don't need to take that all off. It's going to be hidden in the basket, and it's actually going to probably be better protection than paint. So I'm going to finish this up and not to bore you, I'll come back when it's all ready for paint. It's time to clean it up with some acetone, and we're going to get some self-etching primer on here before it starts to rust up. We're just using regular acetone, but look at what comes up. We want to get rid of all of our fingerprints and human acids. Alright, let's see what comes up when I dry it. So look at how clean that is. The acetone is the trick. It's keeping it clean. Like I said earlier, I don't need to paint the part that goes into the basket because it's powder coated, and I don't think paint will actually protect it anymore, so we'll just leave it powder coated. Alright, it's time to prime. For the primer, I'm using this self-etching primer. Now, you may not know the difference in primers, and I don't know the difference in all of them. But I know that you use self-etching primer when you're dealing with bare metal. So you wouldn't really need this if you were just painting over paint. I'm not super worried about the looks of it. I mean, I obviously want it to look good, but my welds aren't great. In fact, I had to grind them down to make them look a little better. I think they're going to look better when they're painted. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll flip it over and paint the other side, or prime the other side. And just for a preview, once I paint the other side and it dries, it leaves kind of a rough texture to it. So we're going to wet dry, sand that smooth, and then let that dry, and then paint it. And I kind of wanted to paint it hammer black like my bumper, but I think I'm just going to paint it semi-gloss to match the powder coated side. So stay tuned, that's coming up. We just need just a light sanding. So we'll go rinse this off. Alright, look what I found. I found some hammered black. It's got a little texture on it, and it will kind of hide a little bit of my crappy welds. So I found this in the back of my paint bin. So I got it sanded down and we're ready for paint. Alright, just a light coat to start with, and then once that dries we'll give it a little thicker coat, and then once that dries we'll flip it over and paint the other side. Alright, let's explain what this is. On my back tire, or my bumper, my spare tire mount has what look to be a hitch slot, but it's a little bit smaller. So I ended up going to get a piece of steel that's a little bit smaller than a hitch, which I put right here. This piece of metal goes into this basket right there. It goes into this basket and then it bolts where these holes are in that top bar. This top bar was longer. It had this piece, and if you can imagine, this piece was all one piece of bar right here, and it went straight into the trailer hitch. But I cut it off at the edge of this bar so the aluminum basket would slide up to here, and then I just welded it at a 90-degree angle right there. Then I took that piece that I cut off of here, and then I just did like a 90-degree or 45-degree cut on both sides just to make it decorative, and then welded that on to strengthen it. And then I primed it and painted it. So let's put it in now. We'll go get the basket. Let's slide the basket on. We'll put the bolts in. I'll go ahead and tighten up that other bolt. Lastly, the lock nut, the lock bolt. Alright, look at that. We have a basket. So I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but I painted it a hammered paint. So it has some texture in it. One, to hide my awesome welds. And two, because I also painted my bumper that same color. As you can see, the sun has faded it, and at some point it will match. But here it is. There's my basket on my spare tire, swing out spare tire rack. Let's see if we can get a good shot of it. Ah, the sun. The sun. Let's get out of the sun. All right. I hope. I know this is kind of a one-off where if you don't have a Dirtworks bumper that this probably doesn't apply to you, but if you do, it was really cheap. I got this basket off of OfferUp for cheap, but I think it's only like $80 at Harbor Freight. And the metal I got from the scrap steel place, the bar, was $20. So even if you don't do it like this, if you do it differently, I hope I inspired you to do something. I think the rack looks a lot nicer above the spare tire than underneath it. Plus, if it's underneath it, the spare tire kind of hinders what you can haul. So I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and we'll see you in the next one. Also, when it's open, you can see that this part is hollowed out, and I have a hole on the side which came with it with the hitch, but I can hang things off it, like a shower head or a jacket, a blanket, whatever. I could use this to hang up stuff. Of course, I could hang things off the rack too. Lots of versatile uses. I think it's going to come in handy. Let me know what you think in the comments.